Eric Daniels stood at the center of the Galactic Council chamber. The circular room towered around him, filled with hundreds of alien representatives seated in rising tiers. Their eyes, some glowing, some multifaceted, some barely visible, all focused on him. This was humanity's final day before the council. Eric straightened his blue diplomatic uniform and looked up at High Counselor Zixvorn. The ancient alien's gray skin looked almost like stone. 4 elongated arms remained perfectly still on the ceremonial desk before him. The Vorn species had ruled the council for over 3,000 years. They were the self-appointed keepers of galactic order. Ambassador Daniels, Zixvorn's voice boomed through the chamber's perfect acoustics. The council has reached its decision after much deliberation. The physics principles your scientists have proposed violate the established, universal constants. Such research cannot be permitted. Eric kept his face calm despite the anger burning inside him. High Counselor, with respect, Earth simply asks for the freedom to explore scientific principles within our own system. We've shown our drive would not affect neighboring spaces. A ripple of murmurs spread through the gathered aliens. Some species nodded in agreement. Others hissed or clicked in disapproval. Counselor Mevnar, a blue-skinned diplomat from the trading worlds, rose from her seat. The human proposal goes against 10,000 years of established science. Their gravity fold. Drive contradicts the 7 laws of movement. Such thinking threatens everything we've built. Eric had prepared for this. Counselor Mevnar, Earth has only had faster-than-light travel for 15 years. In that short time, we've discovered inconsistencies in the 7 laws. We believe they are incomplete, not incorrect. The chamber erupted in angry shouts and buzzing. Zixvorn raised 2 of his forearms and silence returned immediately. You see, Ambassador, your words alone cause disorder. The High Counselor's multiple eyes narrowed. Humanity advances too quickly. You do not respect the proper pace of development. This is why the Council exists, to ensure stability across the stars. Eric thought of Maria and her team back on Earth. They had already built a working prototype of the drive. The Council didn't know that part yet. They wouldn't take the news well. We came to the Council in good faith, Eric said. We shared our findings openly, hoping for collaboration. Instead, you respond with fear. It is not fear, human, said Zixvorn. It is wisdom. Species who advance too quickly inevitably destroy themselves, and often others with them. The Council has guided galactic development for millennia. We know what we are doing. Eric noticed Counselor Durrell, one of the few allies humans had made, watching him with concern. The insect-like alien gave a subtle gesture with one of its limbs, a warning to tread carefully. But Eric was done being careful. 15 years of diplomatic games had led nowhere. The Council never intended to treat humans as equals. High Counselor, Earth respectfully rejects the premise that scientific inquiry should be limited by anything other than ethics and safety. The universe does not belong to the Council. Its laws existed before you and will exist after you. The chamber went deathly, quiet. No species spoke to the High Counselor this way. Zixvorn rose slowly to his full height, nearly 3 meters tall. Then you leave us no choice, Ambassador Daniels. By unanimous vote of the Senior Council, humanity is hereby placed under isolation protocol. The words hit Eric like a physical blow. Isolation protocol was the Council's ultimate punishment short of military action. Zixvorn continued, all human ships will return to your solar system within 30 standard days. All trade agreements are suspended. All technological exchange. Programs terminated. Earth will remain quarantined until your species demonstrates proper respect for galactic order. Eric gripped the speaking podium. This action will only accelerate our independent development. Without Council oversight, we will pursue our research more aggressively, not less. Then you will do so alone, replied Zixvorn. If human vessels are found outside your solar system after the grace period, they will be seized and their crews detained. This session is concluded. The light above Eric dimmed as the Council members began filing out. Only Counselor Durrell approached him, speaking quietly. This is not the end, Ambassador. Many on the council secretly admire human innovation. Zixvorn fears what he cannot control. The alien slipped something into Eric's pocket. This may help. Use it wisely. Before Eric could respond, security drones surrounded him. Ambassador Daniels, you will be escorted to your ship. You have 12 hours to leave council space. Back in his quarters, Eric quickly encrypted a message to Maria Guzman on Earth. His fingers flew over the console as he attached the complete scientific archives he had secretly downloaded from the council's database over the past year. Maria, the council has enacted isolation protocol. We're being sent home and cut off. But I've secured what we need. Their complete physics database. They've been hiding something. The inconsistencies in their laws aren't errors. They're deliberate. I don't know why they're limiting development, but the evidence is clear. He paused, looking at the small device Counselor Direl had given him. It was ancient technology, nothing like the sleek designs the council currently used. I'm also sending something unexpected, a device from a council ally. I don't know what it does yet, but I trust the source. I may not make it back myself. My actions constitute treason against the council. If I'm discovered, they'll detain me permanently. Eric finished the encryption and sent the package through the quantum channel Maria had designed, one of many human innovations that had made the council nervous. Then he began erasing all traces of his activities. A loud bang on his door made him jump. Security inspection. Open immediately, Ambassador. They were early. Eric quickly hid the ancient device in his diplomatic pouch, the one place council security wasn't permitted to search. He opened the door to find 4 armed guards. Ambassador Daniels, you are under arrest for data theft from council archives. Come with us immediately. Eric maintained his composure as they placed restraints on his wrists. I demand to speak with my government before any detention, the guard captain sneered. Isolation protocol is already in effect. No communications permitted. As they led him away, Eric saw his ship through a viewport. At least his message had gone through. Now Earth's fate rested with Maria and her team. Millions of kilometers away, Maria Guzman sat bolt upright in her lab when the secure terminal chimed. She read Eric's message with growing concern, then determination. They think isolating us will keep us in line, she whispered to herself as she began downloading the stolen archives. They have no idea what humans do and backed into a corner. The ancient device sat on her desk, its surface beginning to glow with strange symbols. The banishment had begun, but so had humanity's path to rewriting the laws of the galaxy. 2 years passed since humanity's banishment from the Galactic Council. Earth had changed. Military ships patrolled the edges of the solar system. Research centers operated day and night, and deep beneath the surface of Mars, Maria Guzman led the most important scientific project in human history. The underground facility stretched for kilometers. Scientists and engineers worked at hundreds of stations. In the center stood a large device that pulsed with blue energy. This was the heart of Project Phoenix. Maria studied the holographic displays floating before her. Her dark hair was tied back and deep circles had formed under her eyes from lack of sleep. But she smiled as the numbers aligned perfectly. We're ready for the next test, she called out to her team. Dr. Owen Murphy looked up from his station. His expertise in alien biology had proven essential for understanding the Council's scientific archives. The power levels are higher than last time, he warned. Are you sure the containment field will hold? Maria nodded. The field is based on the Council's own designs. Ironic that their technology will help us break their rules. On the observation deck above, Admiral Lamar Jackson watched with arms crossed. His military uniform was crisp, but his expression was tense. As head of Earth's defense forces, he knew better than anyone how vulnerable humanity remained. If this works, he said to his aide, the Council will consider it an act of rebellion. The test began. The central device hummed louder as energy flowed through it. The strange artifact that Eric had smuggled to Maria 2 years ago sat at the core, glowing with symbols no human could read. Power at 60%, called out a technician. Field stability at 98%. Maria watched the readings carefully. The artifact was somehow altering the physical laws inside the containment field. Properties of matter and energy shifted in ways the Council claimed were impossible. 80% power, announced the technician. Field holding steady. Owen moved to Maria's side. It's working better than last time. The modifications to the field harmonics were correct. A cheer went up as the system reached full power. Inside the containment field, a small probe floated. Then, in a flash of blue light, it vanished. Probe has arrived at the target location, a technician confirmed. Transit time 0.3 seconds. Distance covered 8 astronomical units. Maria closed her eyes briefly. The probe had effectively traveled at over 800 times the speed of light, without using the standard Council-approved method. More importantly, it had done so without creating the spatial disturbance that Council sensors monitored. We did it, she said quietly. The Prometheus drive works. Later that day, Maria met with Admiral Jackson and Dr. Murphy in the secure conference room. They were joined by a holographic projection of a strange, insect-like alien, Counselor Durrell. Your progress is remarkable, Durrell said. Multiple limbs moving in what humans had learned was a gesture of respect. But I bring troubling news. The hardliners on the Council grow more concerned about Earth with each passing day. Admiral Jackson leaned forward. Are they planning military action against us? Not yet, Durrell answered. But High Counselor Zixvorn has created a special committee to study the human problem. They fear you are developing technology that violates Council law. Maria couldn't help but smile. They're right to be afraid. She activated a holographic display showing the artifact Eric had smuggled to her. This device is over 1 million years old. It predates the Council itself, and it contains mathematical proofs that what the Council calls immutable laws of physics are actually artificial constraints. Durrell's body language showed shock. Such claims are heretical. The Council's laws of physics have been tested for millennia. Tested within a system designed to limit results, Owen said. We believe someone, perhaps an ancient species, created technology to restrict certain physical principles throughout the galaxy. The Council either doesn't know this or they're deliberately maintaining these restrictions. Durrell was silent for a long moment. There are legends among my people, stories of a time before the Council, when the stars were easier to reach, when energy and matter behaved differently. Not legends, Maria said. History. And we intend to break these chains. Admiral Jackson activated another display showing the solar system's defenses. But we need time. Our ships are still few, and Council technology still outmatches ours, in many areas. Durrell's projection flickered slightly. I must be careful. If my communications with you were discovered, I would be executed for treason, but I will help as I can. The Council is not as united as it appears. Many younger species question the old ways. After the meeting, Maria walked through the facility to her private lab. Here, she kept her most important discovery. On a secure pedestal rested a small cube filled with swirling energy. This was what she called the key, fashioned from her understanding of the artifact. A knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. It was Owen. I've decoded more of the biological patterns. In the Council archives, he said, there's something strange about the oldest species like the Vorn. Their neural patterns show signs of artificial limitation, almost like they've been programmed to reject certain ideas. Maria wasn't surprised. Control the leaders. Control the galaxy. Whoever created these limitations was thorough. But why? Owen asked. Why limit the development of intelligent life? Before Maria could answer, an alarm sounded. They rushed to the command center where Admiral Jackson was already issuing orders. Unknown ship approaching Mars, officer reported. It's not broadcasting any identification. Tension filled the room. Had the Council decided to attack early? The communications officer looked up in surprise. Sir, they're hailing us. They claim to be human. A voice came through the speakers. Mars Base, this is Captain Ryan Flores, of the independent ship Defiance. Requesting emergency docking. We've got council patrols on our tail and we're carrying something you need to see. Admiral Jackson looked at Maria. She nodded. Defiance, you are cleared for emergency docking Bay 3. But be warned, any hostile action will be met with immediate response. Hours later, Maria stood face to face with Captain Flores. He was tall with a scar running down one cheek and eyes that had seen too much. We've been operating beyond the edge of human space, he told the gathered team. Smuggling mostly. But 3 weeks ago, we found something. He placed a data crystal on the table. There's an abandoned facility on a rogue planet between star systems. It's filled with technology that makes the Council look primitive, and it has the same symbols as that artifact you've been studying. Maria picked up the crystal, hope rising within her. You found a predecessor facility. Captain Flores nodded. And we weren't the only visitors. Some Council species are breaking the rules too, they just don't advertise it. Admiral Jackson's communicator beeped. His face darkened as he read the message. We have a new problem, he said. Our deep space probes have detected a large Council fleet gathering. It seems our isolation period is about to become something more aggressive. Maria looked at the data crystal in her hand, then at the faces around her. Then we need to work faster. It's time for humanity to stop hiding and start fighting back. The ship Defiance moved silently through the darkness of space. Captain Ryan Flores stood on the bridge, watching the stars streak by in ways that should be impossible according to Council physics. The Prometheus drive hummed quietly, taking them far beyond where humans were supposed to go. Any sign of Council patrols? He asked his crew. Security Chief Alan Harmon shook his head. Nothing on sensors, Captain. The new stealth systems are working perfectly. Dr. Ellie Washington looked up from her station where she studied the ancient symbols they had discovered. As a specialist in alien artifacts, she had jumped at the chance to join this mission. We're approaching the coordinates, she said. The rogue planet should be visible soon. Maria Guzman joined them on the bridge. After weeks of preparation, she had insisted on leading this expedition herself. Admiral Jackson hadn't liked it, but he understood the importance of her expertise. Remember, Maria told the crew, we're not just exploring. We're looking for proof that the Council has been limiting technology throughout the galaxy, and hopefully, a way to break those limitations permanently. The planet appeared on their screens. It was a dark world without a sun, drifting alone between star systems. No light touched its surface except for a faint blue glow from a single point on the equator. That's it, Captain Flores said. The facility we found. The blue light has been shining constantly for who knows how long, maybe millions of years. The Defiance landed near the source of the blue glow. The away team prepared in the ship's airlock, checking their environment suits one last time. The planet had no atmosphere, and its surface was frozen solid at temperatures approaching absolute zero. Stay alert, Security Chief Harmon warned as he distributed weapons to the team. We don't know if the facility has defenses. They walked across the icy surface toward a massive structure half buried in the ground. It was made of a dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The entrance was a simple archway with strange symbols carved around it. These match the artifact Eric smuggled to us, Maria said, her voice filled with excitement. This is definitely built by the same species. Dr. Washington approached the entrance. The symbols mention knowledge and liberation. This was some kind of library or repository. The team entered the facility. As soon as they crossed the threshold, lights activated along the walls, illuminating a vast hall that stretched farther than they could see. The air inside was breathable, somehow preserved for eons. How is this possible? Captain Flores asked, removing his helmet cautiously. This facility must be millions of years old, yet it functions as if it were built yesterday. The predecessors clearly had technology far beyond even the Council's, Maria replied, also removing her helmet. Let's find out what else they left behind. They moved deeper into the facility. The walls were lined with what appeared to be data storage units, glowing softly with the same blue light they had seen from space. Dr. Washington stopped suddenly, pointing to a large circular platform in the center of the main hall. Look at this. It's some kind of central access point. As they approached the platform, it activated. A hologram appeared above it, a being unlike any species known to the Council. It had a slender form with multiple limbs and a head featuring 3 eyes arranged in a triangle. "Greetings, Seekers," the hologram spoke in a language that somehow everyone could understand. "You have found our repository of knowledge. You must be a species that questions the artificial barriers." Maria stepped forward. "What barriers? Who are you?" "We were called many names. The oldest species knew us as the Shapers of Stars. Later, ones called us the Predecessors. We existed long before the entity you know as the Galactic Council." The hologram shifted, showing images of incredible technology, ships that moved between galaxies, worlds transformed from barren rock to paradise, energy sources that drew power from the fabric of reality itself. "This was our civilization at its height," the hologram continued. "We spread across multiple galaxies, advancing our understanding of the universe. Then we encountered something in the void between galaxies, a presence that viewed our advancement as a threat." Security Chief Harmon frowned. "What kind of threat?" "That knowledge was lost in the war that followed. What we know is that our numbers were greatly reduced. Our most advanced technologies were destroyed. In desperation, our last scientists created the limiters, devices that would alter the physical laws within this galaxy, making certain technological advancements impossible." Maria gasped. "You created the limitations? But why?" "To protect the younger species that would evolve after us. The limiters prevented technology that might attract the attention of the presence. We established the early council as guardians of these limitations, though over time they forgot their true purpose. They came to believe the limitations were natural laws. Dr. Washington was quickly recording everything. So the council isn't evil, they're just following ancient programming they don't understand." "Some know the truth," the hologram replied. "The oldest council species discovered it millennia ago. They maintain the deception to keep their power." Captain Flores stepped forward. "Can the limiters be deactivated?" "Yes. That is why this facility exists. We left repositories across the galaxy, hoping that eventually a species would arise with the curiosity and courage to question the false limitations. A species that might succeed where we failed." The hologram displayed a map of the galaxy with dozens of points marked on it. Each point is another repository with different aspects of our knowledge. And these 7 larger points, flashed, are the control nodes for the limiters. Maria pointed to one of the nodes. "This is in our solar system." "Correct. Your system contains one of the primary limiter nodes. It is why your species developed differently. The limiter there has been weakening for centuries." Security Chief Harmon suddenly held up his hand for silence. He tapped his communicator. "Captain, I'm detecting energy readings approaching the planet. Council ships." Captain Flores cursed under his breath. "How did they find us?" "The facility activation would be noticeable to advanced sensors," the hologram explained. "The Council monitors all predecessor sites they know of." Maria turned to the hologram. "We need to download everything, the locations of all repositories and instructions for disabling the limiters. Use this," the hologram said as a small crystal rose from the central platform. "It contains everything you seek. Be warned. The Council will do anything to prevent this knowledge from spreading." Maria took the crystal and secured it in her suit. "Thank you." "You are welcome, humans," the hologram said. "You remind us of ourselves long ago. Perhaps you will succeed where we failed." As they rushed back toward their ship, Security Chief Harmon's scanner beeped urgently. "Multiple Council vessels entering orbit. We're cut off from the Defiance." Captain Flores looked grim. "Then we fight our way through. Humanity's future depends on getting that crystal back to Earth." "There's another way," Dr. Washington said, studying her scanner. "The facility has transport tubes that run deep under the surface. One leads to the other side of the planet. If we can reach it, we can circle around to the ship." Maria nodded. "Lead the way, Doctor. The Council's reign of limitation is about to end." Admiral Lamar Jackson stood in Earth's Defense Command Center watching the huge display of the solar system. Red dots marked the approaching Council fleet, over 50 ships heading straight for Earth. The room hummed with tense activity as officers prepared for humanity's first interstellar war. "Time until they reach our outer defenses," he asked. 6 hours, Admiral," a young officer replied. "They'll reach Neptune's orbit first." Jackson nodded. Earth had placed defense platforms around all the outer planets during the 2 years of isolation. No one had expected they would need to use them so soon. "Any word from the Defiance?" he asked. "Nothing since they went silent 3 days ago, sir." Jackson frowned. Maria and her team might already be captured, or worse. But they had to proceed with the plan regardless. Begin evacuation of civilian stations beyond Mars, and activate defensive grid Alpha. Across the solar system, hidden weapons platforms powered up. They used technology based on what Maria's team had discovered. Technology that bent the Council's physics. It was humanity's only advantage. Jackson turned as a communications officer called out, "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Council itself." "On screen," Jackson ordered. The image of High Counselor Zixvorn appeared. The ancient alien looked even more severe than when he had banished humanity 2 years earlier. "Humans of Earth," Zixvorn said without greeting. "Your species has violated the terms of isolation by sending ships beyond your system. You have accessed forbidden technology and stolen Council secrets. Surrender immediately or face elimination." Jackson stepped forward. "This is Admiral Lamar Jackson of Earth Defense. Your accusations are baseless, and your threats against a peaceful planet constitute an act of war. We request you withdraw your fleet immediately." Zixvorn's multiple eyes blinked slowly. "Do not play games, Admiral. We tracked your ship to a predecessor facility. We know what you have discovered. That knowledge cannot be allowed to spread." "So you admit the Council has been lying for thousands of years?" Jackson asked. "That the limitations on technology are artificial?" For a moment, Zixvorn seemed startled. Then his face hardened. "The limitations exist for the good of all species. We maintain the balance that keeps this galaxy safe." "Safe for whom?" Jackson challenged. "Safe for the older species who control the Council while keeping everyone else weak and dependent?" "You understand nothing," Zixvorn said coldly. "You have 6 hours to surrender. After that, we will begin the purification of your system." The transmission ended. Jackson turned to his officers. "That went about as expected. Now we know they haven't captured the Defiance yet, or they wouldn't be asking what we discovered." It tinged. That moment, alarms blared. "Unknown ship entering the system," called out the sensor officer. "It's coming in fast, using an unregistered drive signature." On screen, Jackson ordered. A small ship appeared, moving at impossible speed, pursued by 2 larger Council vessels. "It's the Defiance," someone shouted. Jackson's face broke into a rare smile. "Open a channel." Captain Flores's tired face appeared on screen. "Admiral, request immediate landing clearance. We have Council ships on our tail and vital cargo to deliver." "Granted, Captain. We'll keep them busy." As the Defiance raced toward Earth, Neptune's defense platforms activated. Energy beams lashed out at the pursuing Council ships. One took a direct hit and spun out of control. The other broke off pursuit. "Well done," Jackson said. "Now get that ship on the ground safely." Thousands of kilometers away, in a Council detention facility in the Centauri system, Eric Daniels sat in a small cell. For 2 years, he had been questioned, threatened, and sometimes tortured. But he had revealed nothing about Earth's plans. A sudden explosion rocked the station. Alarms blared in the corridors outside. Eric stood up, alert. Something was happening. His cell door slid open. In the doorway stood a figure wearing Council security armor, but when the helmet visor lifted, the face was human. "Ambassador Daniels? I'm Sergeant Kyle Bennett. We're here to bring you home." Eric didn't waste time with questions. He followed the rescue team through corridors filled with smoke and confusion. Other cells were being opened. Aliens of various species who had opposed the Council. Part of a larger operation, Kyle explained as they ran. While the Council focuses on Earth, resistance groups are striking throughout Council space. They reached a docking bay where a small ship waited. Inside, Eric was surprised to see Counselor Durrell. "You?" Eric said. "You're behind this?" The insect-like alien's limbs moved in what Eric now recognized as the equivalent of a smile. "Not just me. Many on the Council have questioned the old ways for centuries. Your discovery gave us the proof we needed to act." The ship detached from the station and accelerated away. Through a viewport, Eric saw other ships fleeing, a ragtag fleet of resistance vessels. "Where are we going?" he asked. "Earth," Durrell replied. "The final confrontation is coming. High Counselor Zix Vorn has committed the main Council fleet to attack your world. He knows if the limiter in your system is deactivated, his power will be broken." Back on Earth, Maria Guzman stood in the control room of Project Phoenix. The crystal from the predecessor facility had been connected to their systems, revealing secrets beyond their wildest hopes. "The limiter is here," she said, pointing to a location in the asteroid belt. "Hidden inside what we thought was just a small planetoid. Once we deactivate it, Council technology in our entire system will fail while ours will work perfectly." Dr. Owen Murphy looked troubled. "But what about the warning? The predecessors created these limiters to hide from something dangerous." "We don't have a choice," Maria replied. "If we don't deactivate it, the Council will destroy Earth. We'll deal with the other threat if and when it comes." Captain Flores, fresh from his narrow escape, joined them. "Admiral Jackson says the Council fleet will be here within 5 hours. We need to move now." Maria nodded. "Prepare the deactivation ship. I'll lead the mission myself." "You can't, Dr." Murphy protested. "You're too valuable to risk." "I'm the only one who fully understands the predecessor technology," she countered. "It has to be me." As preparations continued, Admiral Jackson received another alert. Multiple signals approaching from the opposite direction of the Council fleet. Unknown drive signatures. "More Council ships?" he asked. "No, sir," the officer replied in surprise. "They appear to be a mix of different species vessels. They're hailing us." On the screen appeared Eric Daniels, looking thin but determined. "Admiral Jackson, this is Ambassador Daniels. I've brought friends. The Council resistance has come to stand with Earth." Behind him stood Counselor Durrell and representatives of a dozen alien species. "We monitored the Council's communications," Eric continued. "We know they're coming to destroy Earth to protect their secret. We won't let that happen." For the first time in days, Jackson felt real hope. "Welcome home, Ambassador. Your timing couldn't be better." As the resistance fleet took up positions alongside Earth's defenses, Maria's team boarded their ship. The small vessel contained the device that would deactivate the limiter, a device built from predecessor designs. "Council fleet now crossing Mars orbit," announced the communications officer in Jackson's command center. "Resistance ships in position. Earth defense grid at full power." Jackson opened a channel to all ships. "This is Admiral Jackson. Today we fight not just for Earth but for the freedom of all species from artificial limitations. Stand firm. Make every shot count." As the massive Council fleet appeared in Earth's skies, Maria's ship reached the asteroid hiding the limiter. And deep in Council space, ancient monitoring systems detected the first stirrings of something moving in the void between galaxies. Something that had been dormant for millions of years, now awakening at the sudden flurry of activity. 1 year after the Great Battle of Earth, the new Galactic Assembly gathered for the first time. The massive hall was built in neutral space, a space station orbiting a star that belonged to no established world. Representatives from over 300 species filled the chamber. At the center stood a circular table where the Leadership Council sat. Eric Daniels adjusted his formal diplomatic uniform. After years as a prisoner and then a resistance fighter, it felt strange to be back in official clothes. As humanity's lead diplomat, he had helped design this new organization that would replace the old Galactic Council. "Nervous?" asked Counselor Durrell, now standing beside him as an equal rather than a secret ally. "A little," Eric admitted. "It's not every day. You help rewrite the laws of a galaxy. The room quieted as Maria Guzman approached the central podium. Her actions in deactivating the limiter had changed everything. Now she led the interspecies scientific exchange that was mapping the true laws of physics, unbound by artificial constraints. Representatives of the free galaxy, she began. 1 year ago today, we removed the first of the 7 limiters that had been restricting our potential for millennia. Today, I am pleased to announce that the final limiter has been deactivated. Cheers and various alien sounds of approval filled the hall. Some of the older species remained silent, still uncomfortable with how quickly things were changing. The knowledge of the predecessors is now available to all, Maria continued. In 1 year, we have made advances that would have taken centuries under the old system. Ships now travel between stars in days rather than weeks. Energy production has increased tenfold. And most importantly, we have begun to prepare for what may come from beyond our galaxy. That sobered the room. The warning left by the predecessors had proven true. Something was indeed stirring in the darkness between galaxies, drawn by the sudden burst of advanced activity. Dr. Owen Murphy took the podium next. His work on helping species overcome millennia of indoctrination had been crucial. The physical changes to our galaxy are remarkable, he said. But even more important are the psychological ones. Many species had been conditioned over thousands of generations to reject certain ideas. Breaking free from these mental limitations has been difficult and painful for some. He gestured to the older species. We honor the courage of those who have had to unlearn the most. Their wisdom remains valuable even as we forge a new path together. Captain Ryan Flores, now Admiral Flores, stood next to Dr. Ellie Washington near the back of the hall. They had spent the past year leading expeditions to distant predecessor sites, uncovering more knowledge with each journey. Did you ever think we'd end up here when we found that first facility? Ellie asked quietly. Ryan shook his head. I was just trying to make a living as a smuggler. Now we're preparing to meet whatever's coming from intergalactic space. Do you think we'll be ready when it arrives? She asked. With all the species working together? Maybe. The predecessors failed alone. We won't make that mistake. At the central table, Eric and Durrell presented the final draft of the Assembly Charter to the gathered representatives. The first article read, "No species may restrict the peaceful scientific advancement of another." This document, Eric explained, represents a true partnership among equals. No species will dominate as the Vorn once did. Decisions affecting the galaxy will be made by consensus, not by decree. From the audience, a voice called out in anger. It was Zix Vorn, once High Counselor, now merely a representative of his species. The old alien had survived the war but lost nearly all his power. "You condemn us all," he shouted. "The limitations existed for a reason. The predecessors understood that some knowledge is too dangerous." Eric remained calm. The predecessors also understood that stagnation leads to extinction. Yes, there is risk in advancement, but there is certainty of failure in standing still. Admiral Lamar Jackson, who had commanded Earth's forces during the battle, stood from his seat at the table. "The threat the predecessors feared is real. We've confirmed it. But hiding didn't make it go away, it only left us unprepared." Maria rejoined the conversation. "Our best scientists estimate we have between 5 and 10 years before whatever is out there reaches our galaxy. That's why we've established the Deep Space Monitoring Network, and why every species is sharing their unique knowledge and abilities." The vote to adopt the new charter passed overwhelmingly. As the ceremony concluded, Eric found himself standing near a large viewport that looked out toward the darkness between galaxies. "Quite a view," said a voice behind him. It was Admiral Jackson. "Beautiful and terrifying at the same time," Eric replied. "Like most worthwhile things." Jackson handed him a data pad. "The latest findings from the monitoring network. Whatever's coming. It's big and it's accelerating." Eric studied the readings. "The predecessors retreated and hid. We'll stand and fight if we must." "That's the human way," Jackson agreed, "though I prefer to try talking first." "As do I." Eric smiled. "That's why we're sending out the first contact ship next month. If this entity is intelligent, maybe we can reason with it." "And if we can't?" Then we have the combined knowledge and determination of over 300 species to defend our galaxy. Later that evening, the assembly held a celebration. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years now mingled peacefully. Technology that would have been considered impossible 2 years ago was commonplace. Maria found Eric watching the diverse crowd. Having second thoughts, she asked. He shook his head. No. Even with the unknown threat coming, I believe we made the right choice. Freedom is always worth the risk. The predecessors would be proud, she said. They left us the keys to our own liberation, hoping someday a species would be brave enough to use them. Not just one species, Eric corrected her, gesturing to the gathering. All of us together. Across the room, Dr. Murphy was showing a group of young aliens from various worlds how to use a new educational tool based on predecessor technology. Their eyes widened with wonder as complex physics concepts became clear to them instantly. The next generation won't remember the limitations, Maria observed. To them, this will be the natural way of things. That's our true victory, Eric said. Not defeating the Council, but creating a galaxy where every species can reach their full potential. A soft alert chimed from the communications system. Captain Flores, now across the room, checked his device and caught Eric's eye with a significant look. It was time. The deep space probes had detected something new. Whatever waited beyond the galaxy had noticed them and was sending a signal. First, contact was about to begin, and this time humanity and their allies would face it together, unbound by artificial constraints, ready to write the next chapter in the history of the galaxy.